Hey, this is Ish, and today I wanted to talk to you about how meditation impacts the brain. So, this is going to be one of many talks that I do just because I feel that it's very fascinating on about how meditation actually changes your neurology in the brain. So, just a quick disclaimer, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I am pulling evidence from studies done by psychologists and neuroscientists, and I'm relaying that information out to you. So, before we actually get into the brain, one thing that I found pretty interesting is that meditation can actually help remove bad habits. So, meditation helps build attention skills that slows down habits. So, this is very similar to a MBSR type practice where when you're sitting down, you can notice when you have certain thought patterns and you just label it as thinking. And this is similar to when habits form. You typically get an urge to do something from a cue, and it's from that urge that you react automatically and just do the habit, such as binge eating or binge drinking. And there isn't much moderation there or any restraint. And basically, what meditation does is that whenever you feel that urge, you can now have the chance to respond rather than react. And I found that was pretty interesting. And going on to the brain, adults are able to generate new neurons in the hippocampus, and this is related to learning and memory. This was a study done in 1998 by Erickson. So meditation is perfect for everyone, and especially students as well who have to memorize a lot of information. I definitely wish I'd started meditating a bit sooner. And going on to the brain, let's talk about the prefrontal cortex. So this is the part in the brain, the frontal lobe, which is associated with executive function, planning, thinking, and goal setting and goal achievement. And this is typically forms of in adults around the age of 25. And when you're meditating, you are sustaining your attention to your breath, and this actually activates the region in the prefrontal cortex. And when you're bringing that awareness, conscious awareness in the meditation, you're also activating another part in the prefrontal cortex called the insula. And the insula basically just notices the temperature fluctuations and different things in the room, and it's basically a noticing function in the prefrontal cortex. And whenever your mind wanders and you bring that awareness back to your breath or another point of focus, you activate the prefrontal cortex and then also the parietal lobe, and this handles sensory information. So meditation enhances this prefrontal cortex part in your brain, and it also decreases mind wandering. So we have what is called a default mode network, or DMN for short, and it's responsible for mind wandering. So you'll notice that especially in people with anxiety or just in general, if you have a lot of thoughts, 95% of those are just really random and doesn't really help you. So your thoughts kind of go in a loop pattern, and that causes stress. What meditation does is that it decreases the activity in these networks, at the same time also enhancing the prefrontal cortex. So now if we look in the limbic system, which is our reptilian brain, which was pretty ancient to us, we have the nucleus accumbens, which is the part in the limbic system which is associated with moving towards different things and attachments and cravings. So this could be cravings to drugs or other habits, even positive ones as well, and also rewards. So it's more of a grasping type of energy, if you will. And then you also have the amygdala, which I'm sure you're familiar with. And this is the part of the limbic system which is associated with moving away from different things or aversions. This is our fight or flight response. So it's very reactive. And basically, they've done a study where they took participants who took an MBSR course for 8 weeks, and they found that they had increased gray matter in the amygdala, which is associated with less stress. So the amygdala was activated less, and actually they found that in long-term meditators, the amygdala actually shrinks in volume as well. And something interesting that I just found out on my own is that in the Heart Sutra, there's a saying that goes along the lines of, may you be happy, and may you be free from aversions, and may you be free from attachments. So this kind of relates to the nucleus accumbens and amygdala if you really think about it. So long-term meditators are able to disassociate themselves from this pattern of moving towards and grasping attachments, and also away from reacting as well. And then they've also done studies where they've shown people kind of horrific images, images of gunshot wounds and war and other kind of traumatic images. And they found that a person's ability to bounce back to their baseline after seeing those images was correlated with how many hours, lifetime hours of meditation they had under their belt. So the long-term meditators were able to bounce back to their normal level from before they saw the image. Don't get me wrong, they still felt the emotions associated with seeing that image, such as fear or disgust. Just like anyone else, they're totally human in that regard, but they bounce back a lot faster. And they found that that even this effect of bouncing back to baseline occurred in people who even had over 30,000 hours of lifetime meditation hours. So this keeps going up and up in a curve. So the effects of meditation doesn't really stop and only increases as time goes on. Now there's another study done by Dr. Zaidan, and he found that just 20 minutes of meditation can significantly reduce our perceived stress, tension, depression, confusion, and also improve our overall mood. And one study has shown that one 20-minute meditation session can reduce state anxiety by 22%. Now, granted, in this particular study, the sample size was pretty small. I think it was only about 15 or 20 people at most. But however, they did do fMRIs where they actually scanned the brains of these participants. So these are actual brain scans, and they were actually able to see the lasting effects of meditation. And it really showed concrete evidence of how meditation helps. And meditation can change different parts of your brain as well, which I'll talk about in future talks. So I thought this was really interesting to do my own research and find these studies, because it really shows that the practice that we do every day to not only find calm and peace can actually change the way our brain functions in a positive manner. Thank you.